Welcome back to Timeout with Jay and G. It's Jay over here. It's G over there.
Yo, what is going on,
And
everyone?
today is a very, very special day because as you're watching this on Friday? The NFL wildcard starts tomorrow. Literally tomorrow. We're here. We're excited for it. We're going to give you our official wildcard predictions this episode. Are you excited, man?
Dude, I'm excited. I mean, honestly, it feels like football just
Yeah.
started and we're already in playoff time.
Honestly, no. I remember, we did a video. We did the NFL predictions. We predicted teams' records before the season started. I think we were in the preseason when we did that, I believe. And it's
I think
it's
so.
been 18 weeks since then. It flew by. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, man. I love football, but it's going for way too long.
Yeah, no, and then we'll sit here until, August until it comes back around.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I do want to say, I think this comes from both of us, that we our thoughts and prayers are with everybody over in Los Angeles right now. With the fires that are going on, it's not good. If you've been watching, it's been very, very quickly taking over a lot of the area. The NFL or the NBA announced tonight, as we're recording this, that the Thursday night game between the Lakers and the Hornets is going to be postponed because I think it's just vicinity wise. And JJ Redick, actually the head coach of the Lakers, his rental home that he's living in right now has been burnt down. Like, it was part of it was in the path of the fire. So prayers out to everybody that's been affected, everybody that's evacuated. It's just a very scary situation.
Yes, it is, and also prayers up to everyone. I know we didn't talk about it, but I don't think we talked about it in our short episode. But prayers up to all the families involved in the incident in Texas.
Yeah.
I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. So prayers up to everyone involved in that, and hopefully everyone is recovering safe and everyone is dealing with the grieving process.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy, that whole New Orleans situation, and
Yep.
it's just been a lot of negative to start the year 2025, which isn't great. But you know what? We're here to try to bring some positivity to it. Listen to us ramble for an hour plus about whatever the hell we're talking about this week. And we hope you guys join us this year in a great, great 2025. Couple things. I mean, is there really anything you want to talk about before we get up into today? I don't know if you had a college football report, because I guess the playoffs are going now, but
I mean, not really. I mean, it's pretty easy to kind of follow at this point. I mean, by the time everyone's seeing this, we already know who won the Penn State Notre Dame game. Spoiler alert. Here's who
Yeah,
won.
right. Really, really hoping Penn State pulls that out.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't. Yeah, I've already went on that rant multiple times, but no. And then Texas and Ohio State will be playing tonight as you're watching this. So this is the only time you will ever see me do this. But
yeah, that's right, baby. That's what we're rocking with.
horns
We're
up.
rocking with.
Horns up.
Does that mean a Penn State Texas national championship is what we're predicting?
That
is something. That's something. And I guess next week, yeah. When will the national championship be?
Let me look here. I'm not really
because
sure.
I mean, we might get an episode out before then. Maybe not. I don't know the. I mean, I'm assuming they probably give them a week, right? They probably give them a week to practice and travel. Like, I would assume maybe it's next Saturday night, next Friday night, or no.
January 20th.
January 20th. That's in 11 days. They do it. Yeah, I forgot they do that. It's a Monday night. I don't know why they. I mean, I guess the NFL has Saturdays now for the playoffs, huh? So I guess it makes sense. But if they could do a Friday night, like, I just feel like a Monday night is such a. God, like, people are like, obviously people are gonna sit and watch their team, but like, people got to go to bed, man. People got to go to bed, and a lot more people are going to bed early on Monday nights versus a Friday night. So, they're doing what they're doing, I guess.
Yeah, I also just never understood, like, the Super Bowl on a Sunday.
Yeah, that should be a Saturday as well.
Yeah.
Give people a chance.
All these, like, give other people a chance to get there and everything like that. And even then, like, in my opinion, it'll bring more, like, if you're let's just say you're on the West Coast, right? And you start the game at 5, you're done at 8. Now for the next couple hours, people can go out, they can party, they can do what they want to do, and it brings more attraction to the city. Obviously, if the Super Bowl is going to be on an East Coast stadium, or like Mountain Time, you know what I mean, like the eastern side of the country, then it's a little bit more probable, because then the game's going to be over at like 11 11 o'clock, but we all know people will still go out and party.
Yeah.
But I do think it should be
Plus, it gives
Saturday.
people like, yeah, you can go out and party Saturday night and then take Sunday to recover and then go back into work Monday because the Monday of the Super Bowl is the most like called off work day like in the year because people just stay partying so hard. Which I get it, man, I get it. Before we jump into the NFL, there's one more college football thing I want to talk about that I think this came out today. Yeah, earlier today at about 2:30 this afternoon. That former Georgia quarterback Carson Beck plans to enter the transfer portal. He originally said he was going to go to the draft. He pulled out of the draft, and now it's going into the transfer portal.
It's an odd
It's
move.
an odd move.
To be
Yeah.
honest. I don't think he's not NFL ready in my opinion.
Do you think another year would get him NFL ready?
Maybe.
I guess it can't hurt, right?
Maybe. It can't hurt.
Knock on wood, obviously.
Yeah, knock on wood. But Carson Beck is also one of the. He's also inconsistently consistent.
Okay.
If you get what I'm saying. Like one game, he'll give you 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's a pretty good game. The next game he comes out, 150 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 or 2 picks.
Yeah.
He's just so inconsistent that it's consistent. It's weird. Like I said, he's consistently inconsistent, and it's a bad part of his game. But I don't know. I think he can get to that level? Maybe, depending on where he goes. But I just don't think he's gonna be at that. I just don't see him making it to the NFL.
I mean, I think he's definitely gonna get drafted, but like if he's gonna be a consistent quarterback, like I don't know. I don't know if he's ever gonna be a good quarterback. But also one more thing before we jump in, just because this is something that I've been talking about on my channel for the past week, and I feel like it's kind of a crazy situation that I want to bring it up on the podcast here, is the whole Jimmy Butler thing. There's a lot been going on with Jimmy Butler, and I don't think we've really talked about that on this podcast because like last week we just did the short one for the New Year, the week before we took off for Christmas. So it's actually been like 3 weeks since we sat down and recorded a full episode of this podcast. So I pulled up here the complete how the timeline of the Jimmy Butler drama, and we're just going to go step by step. I mean, a lot of people, if you're watching this, you probably already know what's going on, but we're just going to go step by step, starting back on May 6th in the playoffs last year, and we're going to go and see how this drama's unfolded up until now. Recently, he's just been suspended for 7 games for like conduct detrimental to the team or something like that. And I guess we can just like speculate a little bit on his trade offers, or like where he could possibly go, and then we'll jump into the NFL. You down for that?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. So, if you guys don't remember, last year in the playoffs, Jimmy Butler basically came out and said that if he were playing, the Miami Heat would have beat the Boston Celtics, and he kind of went on this whole thing. And Pat Riley kind of came out and said, if you're not on the court playing, you should keep your mouth shut. And I think it was definitely like a polarizing comment, because it's like, you just don't really expect the owner of the team to come out and say that about their star player. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of, but again, Pat Riley is far from a normal owner of a team. Like, he's definitely his own breed of a person, which, you know, I think a lot of people respect Pat Riley as one of the best in the league, but it also comes with the same, like, it's a double-edged sword. You know, people are going to love it, but you do it to the wrong person, all of a sudden, ooh, it's kind of not that good. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, you know, it's a tough one. So that, obviously, apparently that was like the start of like the friction between Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley, because Jimmy Butler is a guy that's kind of known for not taking shit from people, and he definitely didn't like Pat Riley's comments about that whole thing. And then it goes on to, you get to the summer, June 26, 2024, one day before my birthday, actually. So shout out, you know, Jimmy Butler and the Heat do not sign an extension. They can't come to terms on an extension, which means after he has this season and then next season, he's a player option, right? So that he could potentially leave. The player option's for like $50+ million. So, you know what I mean? It's like, does he take he's not going to get that kind of money in the open market. So he's probably going to take the player option, right? That would just kind of make sense. You come to now September 30th at Media Day. Jimmy Butler wants to focus on the season ahead, and he you know, for the past couple of years, he came to Media Day with the emo haircut. He had the really, really long dreads, but this year he didn't do anything. He just kind of came in like without any haircut. He was just kind of himself, And it was definitely a sign of like, oh, this is a little bit differently. And he kind of just talked about how he was focused on this season ahead, that they just want to get in, they want to play, they want to win. It wasn't a lot of the normal joking around that you kind of see from Jimmy Butler usually. You know what I mean? Then we jump to the whole situation between Shams and Jimmy Butler's agent, which was a whole Twitter escapade. If you guys didn't see that, December 10th, Shams tweeted out, "The Heat are open to listening to offers for Jimmy Butler," league sources told ESPN, and the six-time All-Star is believed to prefer a win-now contender in any trade. And then basically Jimmy Butler's agent came back and quote tweeted, it was like, "This isn't true, you're making up reports." But he started firing off a bunch of tweets at Shams, and it was like a whole Twitter thing for a couple of days. So like, who's telling the truth? Is Shams making it up? Is Jimmy Butler's agent lying? It was a whole thing. If you were in the moment, you knew what was happening. December 26th, a day after Christmas, Pat Riley comes out and issues a statement through the official Miami Heat Twitter account. This is from the Miami Heat Twitter account. Statement from Pat Riley. "We usually don't comment on rumors, but all this speculation has become a distraction to the team and is not fair to the players and coaches. Therefore, we will make it clear we are not trading Jimmy Butler." So after this whole thing of like, Sean's making these reports and then like his agent firing back, and now the Heat are saying, "Hey, this is like, we don't usually talk about this, but like, this is starting to, it's been taking over the NBA world the past like month or two. Like this whole Jimmy, It's like, he's like, okay, Pat Riley's like, okay, this is too much. I'm going to come right out and say, we're not trading Jimmy Butler." And then just a week later, or not even a week later, 5 days later, December 31st, last day of the year, Jimmy Butler says he's uncertain if he wants to remain in Miami anymore. He was asked a question in a post-game interview that if he wants to be in Miami, and Butler responded by saying, "That's a good question." Didn't really elaborate on it, just said, "That's a good question." Okay.
Good question.
January 1st, 2025, the very next day after he says it's a good question, he had missed like I think 4 or 5 games previous to that because he was like sick, injured / like he was out for a little bit, and this is a game against the New Orleans Pelicans where he only played 25 minutes and he only took 5 shots. He had 9 points. He only took 5 shots. It was clear that Jimmy Butler, he was kind of in his James Harden mode where it's like when James Harden wants out of a team, he just doesn't try, and it's very apparent what Jimmy Butler was doing that night. He just, like I said, your star player, $50 million, he took 5 shots. It just didn't look like he wanted to be out there at all. And basically they kind of come out and say, "Hey, what is going on with that?" And then the Indiana Pacers game, the very, very next night, they got blown up by the Indiana Pacers. Again, Jimmy Butler scored single-digit points. Didn't even break 10 points. And then following that, in the post-game interview, he was asked, he basically kind of, they were talking about the situation, and he was, for to like lack of better terms, to kind of condense it, he basically said he kind of lost his joy in playing basketball, and they're just not having a good time. And they're like, okay, the reporter's like, "Well, do you think you could still find your joy in Miami?" And he says, probably not. He probably can't find his joy in Miami. And then pretty much not long after that, the news broke that he's requested a trade and wanted to be anywhere but Miami. So I'm open to play for 29 other teams, any team but the Miami Heat. So then the very next day, absolutely, after that, Pat Riley's not going to take that very well. They suspend him for 7 games. Let's see. The Heat. Sham says the Heat say they're open to listening to all Jimmy Butler trade offers. This is like a week after Pat Riley says they're not trading him. It's like now we're open to trading him. Through his actions and statements, he has shown he no longer wants to be part of this team. Jimmy Butler and his representative have indicated that they wish to be traded. Therefore, we will listen to offers. Okay. So now he's been suspended, right? But we're not there. We're almost done.
You just keep going. I'll be right back.
So we're almost done. We're almost done. We get to the point where Jimmy Butler's now like he's like, I'll play for any of the other 29 teams. I'm done. But now the report from Chris Haynes has came out, because if you guys didn't know, the Memphis Grizzlies were kind of like the favorite to land Jimmy Butler, which kind of made sense. Like it's a team that they're the 2 seed. I think now the 3 seed in the Western Conference, but like they've had a lot of injuries or maybe lacking that extra push to get them to the playoffs. Now apparently Jimmy Butler's agent has advised teams, a couple like 4 different teams not to trade for Jimmy Butler, and the Memphis Grizzlies are one of those teams. And let's see, Milwaukee Bucks told to back off. and also the Memphis Grizzlies are told to back off. So I don't at this point in time, I don't know where the hell Jimmy Butler's going. I I think the way he's telling a couple of these teams, like, you don't tell the Milwaukee Bucks not to trade for you. Like, I'm open to play for 29 other teams, but don't trade me to Milwaukee, don't trade me to Memphis. I think he's trying to push his way to Phoenix. He wants to go to Phoenix. It just seems like, why would you say you're open to going to any team, and then once teams start calling you, like, no, I don't want to go there. No, I don't want to go there. Don't send me there. Don't send me there. He
Well,
wants to go to Phoenix. He wants to play with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant.
I absolutely I believe it, and also the Phoenix, the Suns are the only team in the NBA right now that can trade for Jimmy Butler without having to get a third team
Mm.
involved, which would mean they would have to trade Bradley
Mm-hmm.
Beal, but we all know Bradley Beal has that no trade clause.
See, he does, and I think the only thing that's like, maybe the no trade clause isn't actually like as important people are making out to be, because like, what do you, if you're Bradley Beal and you get word from Matt Ishbia that we're trading you to Miami Heat for Jimmy Butler, and you look at him, you're Bradley Beal, you look at him and say, no, like, I'm waiving my no trade clause. You can't trade me there. You then now have to go to practice the next day and be like, hey guys, like, you guys were gonna get Jimmy Butler, but I said no, so I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna cause some issues in the locker room. Plus, he just got benched.
Yeah.
Him and Yusuf Nurkic just got benched because it hasn't been good, and it's been very like, I think, honestly, I think the Suns did it. Obviously, they did it on purpose because he wasn't playing that well. But I think the reason they benched him is to make him more upset, so he's willing to say okay to a Miami trade. They're gonna be like, Matt Eshby's gonna be like, listen, you either get traded to Miami or you decline it. Now you look like an asshole in front of everybody, and you're still gonna come off the bench. You know what I mean? I think they're trying to force Bradley Beal to say, okay, I'll go.
I mean, that's a very plausible situation. It's also just kind of funny that I think there's only 2 no trade clauses in the NBA, and Bradley Beal has one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Kind of, he was a beast in for the Wizards though.
yeah. We're long going from that 30-point per game score that we had. I mean, maybe we're not. Maybe it's just that, like, the team he's on right now, the situation he's on right now, he just can't be that. Who's to say he doesn't go to Miami? Him and Tyler here in the backcourt, it doesn't sound great to me. But maybe maybe you get a more consistent score, from that version of Bradley Beal. But I don't know.
No defense in that backcourt.
Yeah. Tyler Hero's been really good though. I think Tyler Hero should be an All-Star this year. It might be a reserve, like a wild card spot, but I definitely think Tyler Hero deserves to be an All-Star. He's been about the only good thing for the Miami Heat this year, because Ban's been pretty bad. Jaime Jaquez hasn't been very good. Jimmy's had this whole shit going on. Like, Tyler Hero's been pretty much the only good thing about don't even get me started on Terry Rozier, bro. So just shout out Tyler Hero, man. Tyler Hero All-Star 2025.
Hell yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Make it happen.
So now we just went through that. I just felt like we kind of addressed that on the podcast. And if more comes out, we'll talk about it. Maybe something crazy will happen while we're recording. Will we be able to report on it?
Maybe Jimmy will get traded as we're recording.
That would go crazy. I saw a report that said that it's possible he got traded this week, back on like Monday. So maybe. But now that that's kind of taken care of, I think we can officially jump into our official predictions for the NFL wildcard weekend. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess I have it pulled up here on CBS Sport, just kind of the playoff schedule. You want to just kind of go through it that way, just game like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we can do it.
It starts Saturday, January 11th. Again, tomorrow, as you're watching this, the first game of the day at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The number 5 seed Chargers go to Houston to play the Texans.
See, normally this would be an easy Texans, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But because of the injuries to Houston's offensive weapons, and I wouldn't say like the regression, but the lack of Joe Mixon, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, he was playing pretty good for a while, and it's just been kind of teetering off for him. The offense, I just think, is starting to just become
that offensive line's awful.
Yes. Like I said, normally I would go Houston, C.J. Stroud, the weapons that they have, Stephon Diggs, the whole 9 yards, but this is one of those situations where I think the Chargers just have, I think, their offense is more put together right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the Chargers have one hell of a running game. And not to mention they have Justin Herbert, who I think gets his first playoff win this season.
That's kind of crazy.
I have the Chargers beating.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride that with you. Pause. I'm going Chargers over Texans. I just, like I said, this Houston team is kind of just limping into the playoffs with their injuries. And like it's just been kind of a down year for the whole team. I mean, Nico Collins has been really really good. I think it's been a great year for him. But CJ Stroud, like I said, didn't really take this. A lot of people I think are calling it a sophomore slump, but again, I think a lot of it's just because of the injuries around the team and the offensive line not being good. His stats do look worse, but you kind of take that with the team around him. The Texans, they were a really good feel good story last year, and I think this was just a down year. I think next year they're going to be back up. Maybe they might still only be the 3-4 seed because you got to look at the Bills, you have to look at the Ravens, you have to look at the Chiefs every year. But like this is a Texans team that I think would start giving those teams problems. They just got to get healthy, man. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of the Harbaughs, but Jim Harbaugh came in and has really, really helped this team turn them around. And like I said, the running game was really, really good. I think a lot of people were kind of speculating on how the running game was going to be with them letting Austin Eckler go to Washington. But they've been really, really good. Bringing in a guy like J.K. Dobbins, who, is just an injury-riddled guy. So, yeah, I'm rocking with the Chargers. It's kind of funny that this would be Justin Herbert's first playoff victory because he's kind of looked at as a pretty damn good quarterback. But winning the playoffs is hard, so I'm going to ride and go Chargers as well. Next. Oh, go ahead.
One thing before we get into the next game, I do want to give a massive shout out to the Cincinnati
Okay.
Bengals. Joe Burrow, I believe he leads all quarterbacks in
Yeah.
yards, in touchdowns. I believe Jamar Chase just
He
won
did,
the Triple
yes.
Crown. Their defense edge rusher Trey
Mhm.
Hendrickson, I believe, led the league
Yep.
in sacks. I think this was the first time in history that all of that stuff happened and the team did not make the playoffs.
Yeah, unfortunately, the rest of the defense around Trey Hendrickson wasn't very good. Like they had a pretty bad defense this year. And I know a lot of people were kind of upset at the way the Chiefs handled the last game of the season, but it's like I get that, but at the same time, they secured their 1 seed. They had no reason to play in that game. And the Bengals started like 0-5. You know what I mean? Like they were already fighting themselves out of a hole. If they even start 2-3 instead of 0-5, they're probably in the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's like they put themselves in that situation. So it's like be more mad at how they started versus the Chiefs resting their starters in a meaningless game for them.
One thing I do want to say, and I'll try and make it as quick as possible. I seen a video of a guy say, "Oh, well, they sit out, the whole thing with like the NBA sitting out and not playing back to backs or resting or something like that." And he goes, "Oh, well, it's soon it's gonna come to the NFL and it'll be like like week 9, and you'll be 7-1, and you'll be playing like the worst team in the league. Oh, well, we can rest these guys. No, you can't. 17 games is a lot different from 82. 82, you can gain momentum, lose momentum at spurts, and we've seen it out throughout, the past every season.
Yeah.
In the NFL, it is easy to lose momentum and hard to gain it back. So that one game you don't play your starters, let's just say you lose that game, bam, now the momentum is gone, and now you got to build from scratch.
I think
It's not the same. It'll never be.
Yeah,
on a
and I
similar
think
field.
you kind of see like rest management in the NFL, but it's in the form of we're up by 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, so we're pulling our starters. You know what I mean? Like you see it in short spurts, and that's what it's going to be. If you're up by a bunch, you're going to pull out your quarterback. You're going to pull out your running backs. Like it's just, and again, yeah, if like you said, on any given Sunday, any NFL team can beat any other team. Like it's just the way football is. Like so momentum's a huge, huge thing. But it's like if I'm the Chiefs and I'm going to, I was going to say Carolina, but Carolina gave them a damn good game. But like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm the Chiefs and I'm going to like one of the worst teams in the league, it's like, you know what? We're going to start our starters. We're not going to like rest them. But like, damn, if it's the third quarter and we're up by 28 points, Mahomes doesn't walk back out there. There's just no reason for him to. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and that's what it's going to be. I don't like you said. I don't think you're ever going to see games other than like the last week of the season if you're all clinched up. But yeah, you're not going to see this week 8, week 9. People are just taking games off unless they're injured. You know what I mean? It's just football's a whole different thing. But I think that turns into a whole other conversation where I think the NBA should shorten the regular season a little bit. That might help with the rest. Instead of 82 games, they play 70. You know what I mean? Like give players a shorter, because it's just like I said, they're playing back to backs. They're playing 4 games in a week. They're playing a lot, and like if they take one game off, the whole world's like, oh look, they're resting. It's like no, I just played 48 minutes last night and I have a game in 2 days again. Like I'm just taking this. You know what I mean? So it's like I think the NBA wouldn't, like they're not going to do it because they're going to lose. You'll lose the ad revenue, like all that kind of stuff. But like shortening the NBA season might be a way to help with this rest management.
The other thing that could kind of, I don't know if it would, don't know if it would help, but if they expand, you know what I mean? Because now you add two more teams, right? So now you're technically kind of like traveling less.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You gotta widen the schedule out a little bit because now you got to add in two different more places to
Mm.
travel, and you could cut out, instead of going here twice, now you're going to here and then you're going to there. Instead of like if you're the 76ers, instead of going to, let's just say they had the Supersonics, right? You're going to Seattle one time, and let's say you turn around, now you're going down to Golden
Yeah, you're
State.
doing your
Now
West
instead of
Coast
being in
trip. Yeah.
California, yeah. So now it's more spaced out than going like, oh, well, you're going to go play the Clippers, then the Lakers, then the Warriors, and it's kind of like, oh, well, you can just do that back to back. Now you got to add in a day to space it out to give them a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more rest.
I do think the NBA. I think Silver said he doesn't have really any plans right now to expand, but I think that they could possibly. There's a lot of people in the back end of benches that are just not really given an opportunity that could be really good players. Um, but it also does hurt the case when you have some teams in the league now that suck really bad. It's like, well, why do we want to add more teams if these four teams suck really, really bad? You know what I mean? It is kind of, you can see both sides of it, but unfortunately, every team's going to win, which means every team's going to lose. Like you're just going to be on the back end of them losing sometimes. So, but to move on before we get too far off track, I know the game of the week for you, and the game of the week for us watching because I know you're a fan. The number 6 seed Steelers are going to Baltimore. Um, the Steelers are the epitome of, like I said, for the Houston Texans, just limping into the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and it's not for much of a lack of injury. We're pretty healthy
Mm-hmm.
right now. It's just the fact that we played the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Ravens in a 3-game
Mm-hmm.
span, and then I do believe we did lose to the Browns
Mm-hmm.
too. It should be 4-game skid. It's unacceptable. Like beforehand, I was just like, you can lose maybe you have to beat the
Mm-hmm.
Browns, and then you can lose maybe
Mm-hmm.
two of those last couple games. Like we were sitting in a situation where we were going to win the AFC North, and it was kind of like, oh, we're like 10-2, or yeah, no, we're like 10-3 or whatever it was at the time, and I'm kind of like, oh, all we got to do is like win, beat Baltimore, and we get the AFC
Mm-hmm.
North.
Or
And
worst
then
case scenario,
they
you split
pissed the
those
way like they
games
did.
and you end up as a 5 seed. You're playing Houston instead of Baltimore.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I seen a video earlier, and Pittsburgh is one of the top teams in the NFL with carries,
Mm-hmm.
but they're towards the bottom of the league in yards per
Mm-hmm.
carry. And one of the famous quotes from Mike Tomlin is that we will not play with fear or something like that. Almost everyone's probably heard it
Mm-hmm.
by now. But yet you're afraid to throw the football. You're afraid of
Yeah.
turnovers.
It also doesn't help that
How can
Najee
you?
Harris isn't that good of a running back.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jalen
Yeah.
Warren. Jalen Warren. I think Najee, Jalen Warren, and I think Cordell Patterson should have gotten more of a workload
Mm.
this season because like he's just running like a man possessed. But anyways, the Steelers got to throw the
Yeah.
football. That's just plain down simple what they got to
Mm-hmm.
do. They got to use George Pickens. I've been saying this for a while. And if you can't get the ball to George Pickens, throw it to Mike
Yeah.
Williams. People forget that Mike Williams, when he was on the Chargers, was really
Yeah.
damn good as
He's
a
just
deep
he's
ball
just
threat.
kind of
Everyone was kind
had
of
some injury, bad luck recently, so it's kind of yeah.
yeah. I truly still believe he might not be able to get back to that high level that he
Mm.
was at, but he can still make them
Mm-hmm.
catches. Like the skill is still there. I truly believe
100%.
it. But it's just a matter of getting him the ball, which I think they should be doing. I'm getting tired of running, these 2-3 tight end
Yeah.
sets. Let's get in the shotgun. Let's spread this ball
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Let's spread the defense out. But anyways, Lamar Jackson, arguably the MVP. A lot of people have him as the
Mm-hmm.
MVP. I have Josh Allen as
Mm-hmm.
MVP, but Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. This is what everyone thought this offense was going to
Yeah.
look like. In a couple weeks into the season, it was a little rocky, but then everything kind of got flushed
Mm.
out, and this offense is running
Yeah.
good. Normally I would be all for the Steelers. Normally I would pick the Steelers, but in this situation, I'm gonna have to go with the Ravens to win.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to go with the Ravens too. It's just the way the Steelers are playing right now. Lamar Jackson, like I said, if he's not your MVP favorite, he's number 2. Like he's just been that good, and it sucks that like he's having a much better season this year than he did last year when he won MVP. You know what I mean? Like I so it is gonna suck if he doesn't win MVP. It's like, damn, I just won MVP, then did better and didn't get MVP. You know what I mean? But Josh Allen's
Yeah,
been phenomenal as well. So either way, whoever you have as your MVP, he's got to be top two no matter what. Um, yeah, I'm going to Baltimore. They're just it's really hard to stop their offense. Zay Flowers is not playing in this Steelers game, so I mean, I guess that might be something, but it's going to be really hard for the Steelers. Going to do everything they can to stop the run game between Lamar and Derrick Henry. And Mark Andrews has been a lot better since a rough start to the season. So they just have a lot going on, and that Steelers defense is really really good. But it's like I'm more worried about the Steelers offense against the Ravens defense because we all know no matter how good your defense is, if they're on the field the entire game, they're going to get tired. And that's what I'm
yep.
kind of worried about if I'm a Steelers fan. That listen, we might be play damn good defense in the first half, but by the time the third, fourth quarter comes around, we've just been on the field the whole game, and we're just getting tired. And that's when a guy like Derrick Henry could really, really start hurting a team when those defenders start getting tired legs. So I'm going to go Baltimore in this one as well. I know
You
it's
know,
hard for me to it's hard for me to root for either one of these teams, honestly, as a Cowboys fan, but I gotta do what I gotta do, you know.
I would love to spin the narrative. Oh, this is the Steelers' revenge
Yeah.
tour. This is Mike Tomlin's revenge tour. You beat the Ravens, who beat you for the AFC North, basically. Then second round, you're probably going to have to play the Bills or the
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs, and then in the AFC Championship, you're going to have to play the latter of the two. And then in the Super Bowl, you might be facing the Eagles. All three of them teams have either beaten you this season or last
Yeah.
season. Oh, and always been a thorn in the side. So I would love to spin that. Would love to just absolutely shout that from the rooftops, but gotta be a little bit realistic here.
Unfortunately, I get it.
Ravens are probably gonna
Yeah.
win.
Next, let's move on to Sunday, January 12th. Another maybe this has potential to be a good game, but like there's also a real possibility the Bills absolutely dog walk them. We have the number 7 seed Broncos going to Buffalo to play the Bills.
See, this is where it gets a little
Mm-hmm.
tricky because I do believe Josh Allen. He wants a
Oh,
ring.
100%.
He wants to
100%.
win. But I think this might be a hot take, but I think the Broncos are built enough to where as long as Bo Nix doesn't cause the big turnover or the big collapse, this Broncos team, especially with Sean Payton, is built to win.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos beat the Bills, but then they're not. I doubt they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
With Patrick Mahomes and everything, because that's who they play. Wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos win. You know what? I'm saying it. Broncos are going to beat the Bills.
I have an upset coming too, but
Broncos
it's
are going
not
to
this
beat the
game.
Bills. I'm confident in what Sean Payton has been able to do with
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix, and arguably, in my opinion, Bo Nix, you could argue, has been the second best rookie quarterback so far this season.
No,
There's an
yeah.
argument to be
Yeah, I
made.
agree. No, I agree. After kind of a rough start for
Debatable.
him, he's been a lot better.
Yeah, and debatable. You could put him number one depending on how you feel about Jalen Daniels, but Jalen Daniels probably
Mm-hmm.
rookie of the year. Him or Brock Bowers, in my opinion,
Yeah.
one of those two. But no, I think with what Sean Payton's been able to do with Bo Nix and with this offense, and the defense is not bad
Mm-hmm.
at all. So I think this could be one of them. I think they're going to have some similar to when they beat the Steelers with Tim Tebow. It's going to be one of the things where they get the first round game, maybe have a good second round game against the Chiefs, but then it's just going to fizzle
Yeah.
out. So I have Bo Nix getting a playoff win. That's crazy.
That
to
is
say.
kind of crazy to say. I can't agree with you on this one. Like I said, there's an upset I'm looking at, maybe potentially two, but it's not gonna be this Broncos team. I agree this Broncos team is looking a lot better than the way they started the year. They're looking good. You're running into a buzzsaw right now, the Buffalo Bills, and like the Josh Allen's on a war path right now, and I don't even want to begin to think of the narratives around Josh Allen's name if they lose this game. It's going to look, especially if he wins MVP and they lose this game, it's just going to be awful, awful, awful. And I think the Bills, listen, they're a team that they have talent, but they're definitely not I don't think they're the second best team. Hold on, I don't think they're the second most talented team in the AFC, but they just have one of, if not the best player in the NFL on their team, and or
Yeah.
quarterback, I should say, one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the league, with Josh Allen. And he's doing everything he can to just absolutely will them through this season and will them to these wins. And I just think he's going to have a big, big game. Listen, Patrick Surtain's going to do everything he can to shut down anybody that comes on his side of the field. He's going to follow. But Josh Allen, listen, if he's not beating you through the air, he's a tank running through you on the ground. So I'm going to have to give the Bills this easy win. I don't want to say easy win, but I think the Broncos are definitely going to fight. But I think this Bills team is going to handle the business.
Let me give you a little bit of a mind twist here.
Okay.
Right? Rookie Bo Nix played against Justin Herbert in college.
Yes. Yeah.
Bo Nix was with Auburn and Justin Herbert was with Oregon. They played against each other in college.
I remember those, just the every year Bo Nix back. Then he went to a different team. Bo Nix came back. Then he goes to another team. Because he was in Auburn, Oregon. Wasn't there one other team?
It was just Auburn.
I could have thought. Maybe I was wrong. But yeah, no, I got to give this one to the Bills. My bias might come out here, but the 7 seed Packers going to the link, going to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Who do you got?
This is a little bit emotional because my sister's late boyfriend does like the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is gone, and I don't really care for Aaron Rodgers, but I got to go with the Packers. This is more of an emotional pick for me because of that.
Yeah.
But even then, Love has been playing amazing. The wide receivers have been doing good. I just don't like the Eagles.
Yeah. Obviously, I despise the Eagles being a Cowboys fan, but again, I'm gonna be as completely unbiased here as I can in the fact that the Eagles are just a really, really good team. They're a great team. They're the 2 seed for a reason, and I think they should be able to hold off the Packers at home. But we also saw the same again, and I know the jokes are gonna come my way, but this same 7 seed Packers team went to Dallas last year and tore their ass a new one in the first round of the playoffs. But again, I know I'm going to get the jokes at the Cowboys. It's what they do in the playoffs. I get that. Trust me, I'm fully aware of that. Maybe they can't replicate that magic. But I think this Packers team is one of those teams where, as long as they get in the playoffs, man, they're fine. They just got to get in, and they'll go anywhere. They don't have to worry about the cold. Listen, Philadelphia, especially right now, is cold. It is cold up here in PA. You know where else it's cold? Green Bay. It is cold in Green Bay. They're not scared. They're not scared of this weather. They're ready to fight. I think they're ready to fight. I think they're going to give the Eagles a hell of a fight. I've said fight 4 times now, but I think they're going to give the Eagles a hell of a battle. If I'm going to be unbiased, I've got to pick the Eagles if I think that's who's going to win. But I'm going to be rooting for the Packers.
It's Pack Attack, baby.
Jesus.
I got to buy me one of the.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Why not?
I can't stand the Packers. Next, the final game on Sunday is the 6-seeded Washington Commanders going to Tampa Bay to play Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm probably going to regret doing this one. Probably am going to regret it. But he's been counted out. He's been run around, traded away from his normal team. He's been playing really good. I got to go with Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers to win.
Jaden Daniels.
You're going. Oh.
Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
He's had a phenomenal rookie season. I know the team has cooled off from the way they started the season, but they're still a damn good team. They really are a damn good team, and I think I like the Buccaneers. They're dealing with some injuries right now. I think this is a prime time for a rookie quarterback to come into kind of a beat up Buccaneers team and get a victory on the road. I think this is going to be the real. Jaden Daniels, like I said, he's been phenomenal this whole season. He's probably rookie of the year, if not him, Brock Bowers. This is his real testament of I can do this. I can go in the playoffs. I can win a game on the road. I think this is going to be the real first big test of Jaden Daniels' career in the NFL, I should say. I'm running with the Commanders, man. I don't think they make it past the second round, but I think the Buccaneers. I don't know, man. I smell the upset coming. I just smell it. I can just feel the upset, man. Buccaneers fans. I like the Buccaneers, man. I really do. Shout out Mike Evans for getting his 1,000-yard streak continued out. I mean, he does anything he can to just get that 1,000 yards and then that's it.
Yeah.
But hey, don't forget, they got Mike Evans there, but don't forget who's going to be lined up across from him. Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore is lining up across from Mike Evans, and you know his ass is going to do anything. Marshawn Lattimore is going to do anything he can to stop that ball from getting into Mike Evans' hands. And
We might as well just have them just throw off the gloves, take off the helmets, like before the first snap of the Buccaneers drive. Just say, "Hey, you two, let's go, get it over
and
with."
you know Marshawn Lattimore is just ready for this after not being on the Saints this year. He doesn't get to play them twice a year. You know Marshawn's been waiting. He's been waiting for this. So
That's the only game he's had. He's had this game
yeah,
scheduled. He's been like, "What am I gonna do?
yeah.
I gotta get into his head. What am I gonna
So
do?"
I'm going to go with Commanders, man. I think they're going to pull the upset in Tampa Bay. And I think we're going to see a big shift down there in Tampa Bay. I think they're going to try to make a big move to try to push this team over the top.
Yeah, but also shout out to Tampa Bay because I know it got to a certain point to where Mike Evans was like I think like a couple yards short,
Yeah, and they
and they
ran
were
it with
actively
Bucky Irving.
trying to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they were actively like after that trying to get Mike Evans the ball to get his 1,000
Yeah.
yards. Which shout out to Mike Evans. He's been consistently consistent in getting that 1,000 yards for how many seasons now?
11 straight.
That's crazy.
The last game of the wild card weekend, the wild card weekend, is the number 5 Minnesota Timberwolves coming off a pretty bad loss, going to LA, baby.
Minnesota Timberwolves.
What did I say? Did I say Timberwolves?
You said Minnesota Timberwolves.
The Minnesota Vikings coming off a pretty bad loss to the Packers, going to LA, baby. They're playing the Rams.
Even though I would love to keep the magic going. You know what? No, I don't really want to call it magic.
Just been damn good.
It's been a magical season. It's gonna keep going. I got the Vikings beating the Rams.
I agree. I think after kind of a stinky performance last week against the Packers, I think Sam Darnold's going to lock back in and deliver a great game. The Rams, listen, before the season started, I had them slated being one of the top teams in the NFC. They got off to a really, really bad start, but then they've completely turned around and ended up being the 4 seed going into the playoffs. But man, this Vikings team's hungry. A lot of people, myself included, counted them out this season. Like with J.J. McCarthy's injury, I was like, there's just no way they're going to be like they had a lot this past offseason. A lot went on, and I just thought this seemed to be a 4 to 6 win team. And they won what 13, 14 games. Like they won a lot of games.
Yeah.
So they've been phenomenal. Justin Jefferson, I still think the best receiver in the league. Jamar Chase has been phenomenal. I think Jamar Chase is number 2. Justin Jefferson is still the best receiver in the entire NFL. T.J. Hawkins is there. Jordan Addison's there. This team is just, yeah, like I said, the Sam Darnold magic has been running. The Sam Darnold magic has been so good. There's been reports that they could look to trade J.J. McCarthy to give Sam Darnold a deal. I think that's a bad idea. I really do think it's a bad idea.
100%.
Because we don't know if the Sam Darnold thing is a 1-year thing or this is just what he is now. Because it would be awful if you trade your second-year quarterback and Sam Darnold isn't this good anymore after this year.
But you know what the funny thing is? The Panthers had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, no.
They got Bryce
slouch
Young now.
to
They got Bryce Young now, man. He's there.
No slouch to Bryce Young. Also, people might not know this. There was only like 2 teams that had more touchdowns than the Panthers did in the final 4 weeks.
Really? Who's that?
It was the Eagles. I forget the second team, but the Panthers had like 15 touchdowns.
Shout out, man.
Through the last 4 weeks of the season, so they were starting to get it moving, especially when Thielen came back. So shout out to the Panthers. You know, hopefully everything starts working for them, and shout out to Bryce.
Yeah, no, shout out. I'm going Minnesota. You going Minnesota?
Yeah.
So my playoff bracket going into the divisional round is going to be. I'm not going to do this by game. I'm just going to say the teams because I don't feel like dealing with the brackets in my head right now. I have Chargers, Ravens, Bills, Eagles, Commanders, and Vikings. Who do you have?
Oh.
Bro's going to just get out of it.
Yeah. No, I have the Chargers, Ravens, Broncos, Vikings, Packers, Buccaneers.
All right, so we'll see. We agree with the Chargers and the Ravens, and I think that's about it. No, and the Vikings. The Vikings, Chargers, and Ravens is what we agree with. The other 3 games, the whole Sunday slate, we disagree with. So we'll see who's more right on this Sunday slate. between the Broncos, Bills, Packers, Eagles, and Commanders, Buccaneers. But it should be fun, man. I'm excited for playoff football. I'm not excited that the regular season's over. It's just really a bummer, man. The end of the college football, there's like two games. Well, a game tonight as we're recording this, a game tonight as you're watching this, and then on the 20th will be the last game of the season. Man, it's just when football season's over, it's just kind of. I mean, we still have the NBA. The NBA is going to be getting into their All-Star weekend and then into their playoffs. But
you sound excited for that, the All-Star weekend.
I am. I am excited for it, but at the same time, like the NFL is just something different, man. The NFL is just something different. And okay, sorry, I just saw some report. I think it was a fake report, so I'm not gonna worry about it.
Jimmy Butler got traded to the Boston Celtics.
No, it was something about Pat Riley admitting he's washed now. So I'm just gonna, I'm just forget about that. But that's our official predictions for the wild card round, man. So before we get out of here, I just kind of want to talk. I think you guys should check out my channel, Cloud2K. It's after a rough December. It's been a pretty good start to the year. My videos took a crazy uptick in quality, and it's a lot more of me just talking to the camera. Still 2K, cutting out all the other games. I'm not really going to be posting Fortnite. I'm not going to be just posting other games right now because I want to dive in and really lock into the basketball and build that kind of community. And then maybe down the line, I start a second channel for those other games. But it's been a lot of fun recording. It's been a lot of fun. Like I know we talked about this last week. It's just been kind of fun doing this. You know what I mean? It's been a fun ride for about a year now that we've been doing this. And
it's coming up close to a
and
year.
Let me see here because I know we've got to be getting close as well. Well, actually, no, not quite to that because we only do one a week now because we were rapidly approaching. But I do want to see if. I'm sorry, my computer's being a little slow right now. This is going to be technically. Oh, turn that off. This is going to be episode 67. Episode 67. So, sometime later this year we'll be hitting episode 100. We have to figure out what we want to do for episode 100 because
I'm not ready for that.
That's gonna be a big thing. It's gonna be a big thing. And so let us know. I mean, if there's something you want us to kind of do for episode 100, just to do something different, I think we will. We're gonna talk about that, but here very very soon, once the All-Star weekend for the NBA comes around, we might have a guest helping us pick our All-Stars. So that'll be cool. We'll have a third person in here. You don't know him, but if you watch my channel, you know him. It'll be the editor if we can get him over there. He's actually over in California right now, so shout out to him. Hopefully he's keeping himself safe because it's not a good situation over there right now. But yeah, man, it's go ahead.
T-minus about 11 days.
For what?
Till we've been doing this consistently for a year.
Are you serious?
January 20th is when we started back.
Wow. That's
11 days.
That's crazy. So, that'll be the same day as the national championship.
But yeah,
man,
how does it feel knowing in about a week and a half we have been doing this for a full year?
It is kind of
consistent.
It is pretty crazy because I feel like we've came a long way since then. Like what we're doing right now is like way just way better than what we were doing a year ago. You know what I mean?
If you would have asked me a year ago that we would be sitting here with our faces doing it like this, I'd call you crazy. 'Cause I remember it was always over the
the phone.
Anchor.
Yeah, we were using Anchor for a while.
And that's what it just was. And then you were just like, let's try and get the face cams in, and we just started. Now it's just kind of natural.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah.
But damn, it's gonna be wow.
What is your? Because I just want what is your favorite moment for this past NFL season? Because I know last week we talked about our favorite moments from the year. So I just want to this past NFL season. What was your favorite moment? Favorite play? Favorite just kind of thing?
Wow. My favorite moment has got to be. There's so many good ones. I'll be honest, it's probably going to be, this is going to sound a little bit weird, but it's probably going to be Brock Bowers.
Okay.
Breaking the records and stuff like that, because that is something that, like, we've seen some good tight ends, we've seen some good stuff, but Brock Bowers is just a monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's better than what a lot of us thought he was going to be. Granted, who else did they throw the ball to on the Raiders? But he's just been an absolute monster. I think he's going to have that more upside than Kyle Pitts did
Yeah,
because it's kind of like the same trajectory. A lot of catches, a lot of yards, not a lot of touchdowns. But I think he's going to continually to grow, and he's going to be one of the best receiving tight ends in the league
I
today.
agree. I think mine. This is gonna be a bit of a homer pick, but Demarion Overshown getting that pick six. I forget what game it was. It's been a while ago. But missing his entire rookie season with like a torn ACL or Achilles, something like that. It was a leg injury to then come in and kind of get off to a slower start, but then really ramp up, and for a few week stretch was playing phenomenal. Was playing as one of the best linebackers in the entire league for a few weeks there, and then fortunately went back out again. And it's possible he misses the entire next season too because of his injury, because of how late in the season it was. Um, and it's just kind of add him to a long list of Cowboys linebackers that have dealt with massive injuries, whether it's Sean Lee, Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and now DeMartin Overshown. Like, it's just Cowboys linebackers have had a history of getting injured. But seeing that the big pick six, and just the expression on his face for he's came a long way, man. And he's a Texas guy, so like I said, we're rooting for Texas this week. So hook 'em horns, I guess. But I think that was my favorite moment of the year.
My next moment, just watching it, was when Parsons was trying to get Watson down for the sack, and Overshown just blows right
Yeah,
by him.
yeah.
That was pretty cool to
Yeah,
watch.
it's been a fun season. Like, it flew by, man. It's like you talk
It
about these
did.
moments. It was like, oh, that was 2 months ago, and I was like, oh, okay, like, okay, sure, I guess it was. Yeah, you're right. But man, you excited, man? We're trying to jump back into 2K. I was on today. I played a game. Had like 33 and 6 assists. We won the game in overtime. Yeah, I had
Hell
9
yeah.
points in overtime. I kind of won us the game low key. I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to.
Yeah. We playing with Junior.
And Xander. Yeah, Junior and Xander. Yeah, the four of us,
Nice.
the three of us were in. We had two teammates that sucked. They didn't play any defense. That shot awful. I mean, I shot like 9 for 15, so not great. But three of them were in. I was 3 for 4 in overtime, so I kind of locked in when I needed to. So,
Hell
I gotta
yeah.
do what I gotta do.
Hell yeah,
But
brother.
I guess that's gonna do it, man. This is gonna do it for this
Yeah.
episode, and we will see you guys next week after we know who's gonna be in the national championship game. And honestly, probably we'll know who's in the division round as well. We'll probably end up doing our awards next week, the NFL awards, because I
Yeah.
mean that point in time, when do those come out? Those will be coming out soon, right?
They should
So
be.
we'll kind of give our list of the NFL awards, and probably just preview the. We could probably go through a quick preview of the divisional round. Kind of go through that whole thing. Is there anything else you want to
Yeah.
say before we get up out of here?
Not really. I hope everyone's having a fantastic
Yeah,
day.
so that'll do it for this week's episode of Timeout with Jane G. We'll see you guys next week.